You've got to explain this now as well.
It's one of the most listened to podcasts.
Really?
Yeah. Okay.
What radio is it on?
Radio 4.
Oh, okay, that's why I don't know about it.
It's not a one extra.
Well, welcome everyone to episode 19 of the Evo podcast. This week I am with Yousuf, James and Dickie.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
So what have you been up to, Dickie? You've been driving.
Accusing me.
You've been trying
Lots.
to set...
I don't think my feet have touched the ground since going out to Texas for the Hennessey thing, which is a few weeks ago now. But yeah, that's probably the biggest thing I've done. That was mega trip.
So it's
Amazing.
F5.
Yeah, Venom
Evolution.
Venom F5, which we drove two different versions. So the Revolution, which is, it's got a downforce package and it's more for road and track use, and also drove the F5 Evolution, which is the car they'll be going for the world's fastest production car speed record. So I think they're shooting for 500 kilometres an hour.
That's insane.
Which is nearly 311 miles an hour.
And they've got to do that in two directions.
Yeah, I think.
Possible because it's
John Hennessey wants to do it in two directions because it removes all the kind of because Bugatti done 304.6 something, but they only did it in one direction. So it's done it, and no one disputes that it's done that speed. But I think everyone would rather there's a two-way average. So that's what they're hoping for.
And what they're hoping for as an average? What's the target? Is it just?
I think they want to do a
full on
500 kilometre an hour average. I mean, anything over the Bugatti, obviously, but I think they want to do it by a meaningful number, and it's so close to 500. Yeah.
And is this Edwards? That's where you drove it, wasn't it, Edwards?
No, we drove it at the shuttle landing facility at Cape Canaveral, which is really very cool.
How
place.
fast did you go?
But we went. What did we do? 220 or 230?
Wow. Okay.
Which is it's just so it's mind-bogglingly fast, this car.
And did it feel like it still had a long way to go?
Oh God,
after,
it's just I mean, we said with a podcast we did with John Hennessey, but he went through some of the figures. But yeah, it does 0 to 200 in 9 seconds.
My God. I can't even imagine.
And you look at the numbers it's doing, and it's when I was in the car, I was trying to. There was the sort of because I had a passenger ride with David Donoghue, the test driver, who's the son of Mark Donoghue, the Porsche 917-30 driver.
F1.
An F1 and all sorts of stuff. So David's a very cool guy, but he's done all the development on that car. And I was trying to read the increments off on the Race Logic dash and trying to do it in 10 mile an hour increment, and I just couldn't get the numbers out. And then you try and do it in 20 mile an hour, and it's just about as quick as you can say the number. It's already gained 20 miles an hour, and it just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. It's wild.
Does it feel kind of sketchy at high speed though, or is it one of those that's really stable and feels like it's quite comfortable?
They were still doing some aero testing because part of the Evolution packages they found a load of aero without any more drag, so they were trying to bring some balance back to the car. So yeah, I think David was earning. He's been earning his money doing that testing because it was they said it's very. Chair's quite squeaky. It's very on the nose.
Okay.
The way
that's
it was
what you want when you're doing 200 and something
so
miles an hour.
Yeah, you're quite conscious of the balance, but that was just because they were working. I think they were finding the most downforce they could get on the front, and then trying to trim it with different size kind of improvised gurney flaps at the rear. So we joined them when they were doing their just some general testing, but they're working towards the record run. So it wasn't in a definitive spec when I drove it, but obviously it will be when they have a go at the record.
And how does a car like that feel compared to regular hypercars that you've driven? P1, 918, Ferrari, and of course there's W1 and F80 coming, but is it another...
It's another level. I haven't driven any of the sort of proper hot Chirons, but I drove a regular Chiron, and that's an incredibly fast car, but it's not as explosively quick. It's just relentless, but your brain can kind of process how fast it's going. It just keeps going. This thing, I did some numbers. It's twice the power and twice the torque of a Revuelto, but 25% lighter.
Oh my God.
And we've just spent some time in the Revuelto, and that is a fast car.
Otherworldly.
That keeps you on edge.
So twice. It's 1,400 and something foot-pounds of torque.
And all from a V8.
Well, it's like reading the spec. Oh, hang on a minute, that can't be right.
You've added a zero.
Yeah. It's brilliant, and it's really tractable. Like,
how does it build up its speed? And is it quite slow?
Well, you can. There's got like a Manatino type switch on the steering wheel. So Sport is its kind of default setting, and I think that's about 1200 horsepower. And then you go to F5. Certainly with the pre-Evo car, you go to F5, and that would go straight to 1800 and something horsepower. But they've had Ilmore as part of the Evolution package. They've had Ilmore look at the engine and find some efficiencies in the engine. And they've gained another 220 horsepower or something, which has pushed it over the 2,000 horsepower barrier. But yeah, it's the difference between Sport and F5 is unbelievable.
But you can get it rolling and going.
Yeah,
it's not a big laggy thing of waiting for.
No, it's a single clutch paddle shift gearbox, which you can't believe that it does smooth. I mean, it's not seamless like a DSG. But it's very smooth and refined kind of shifts, given the amount of torque it's dealing with and the length. All the gears are pretty tall to get you beyond 300 miles an hour. So it's like it is another world. And normally I wouldn't like top speed is kind of. I mean, when it gets to that, it's completely irrelevant in pretty much every respect. But it means everything when something's that fast and they're trying to do those things. I think it's fine to like build a one-off record car that's like not a production car. I'm sure that's very difficult, but it's not the same as building a car that you're then going to deliver 30 or more. I think they're building 99 F5s in total across different derivatives. So the coupe Evolution, they've got a Roadster, and they're also building a stick shift.
Oh, really?
Manual.
Nice.
With the same
same power.
Wow. Okay.
So gated manual with 2,000 horsepower.
Needs to be gated.
It's an awesome thing. I love it. John Hennessey's a very cool guy.
Yeah.
It just does some special stuff very much in their own way, in the same way that Pagani does their own thing and Koenigsegg does their own thing, and Mate does his own thing with Bugatti. I love the fact that they all coexist and they're all doing slightly different things. But
how does it compare? Because you drove the Pininfarina Battista 2,000 horsepower electric car. Is anything comparable?
It's a more enjoyable sensation. I think the Battista is everything instantly, and then eventually it kind of just tapers off like all EVs tend to do. It's monstrously quick, but it feels heavy because it is heavy. It's a couple of tons, isn't it? So it's quite a different sensation. The Hennessey it still has a perceptible kind of peak, so you build up to a crescendo rather than just that horrible instant nausea kind of feeling. So no, I loved it. It's a completely ridiculous car, but brilliant.
But that's what they do, isn't it? Because did you drive some other bits while you were out there?
Well, our camera car had a 600 horsepower Velociraptor truck, pickup truck, and we had there were 1,000 horsepower. I think John Hennessey's keyboard has only got a 1 and a 0 on it. And then he's found where the 2 is now for the F5. But that was 1,000 horsepower. I saw
a jump shot of that one, actually. Was that you in it?
Yeah.
Of course it was.
No, that was on their test track. That was,
it was like 7 foot in the air.
That was one of their guys who was driving that. And we had a super Venom Dark Horse Mustang, which is 880 horsepower or something. And it had the 10-speed bicycle.
I was just about to ask.
And the 10-speed Shimano mountain bike gearbox.
And did it work with that much horsepower?
It's still stupid.
You just leave it in 10th, wouldn't you?
But yeah, it was more fun because it's clearly got ridiculous performance. So it was, but you just don't worry about the first 5 gears.
Yeah.
So no, it's fun. Total culture shock compared to what we do over here. But I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
We don't often get rockets taken off on a photo shoot.
No, we were there when I guess they probably launched another one since then. But one of the most recent SpaceX launches.
Yeah.
So it's a very exciting place to be.
And when are they due to? It's sort of any time now.
Yeah,
I think they're setting the record.
They've got to get a few ducks in a row with the venue. But I think it will be soon. I think John wants to get it done as soon as the car's ready. They're going to have a go at it. I think, as he said in the podcast, he's sort of fed up of fed up of talking about it now.
Yeah.
They just want to do it, or at least have a go. But I think they seem pretty as confident as you can be when you're trying to do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That it's going to be the fastest. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, watch this space. We will report as soon as they do. Slightly different brand and car. You've been driving something rather launched 2 years ago, was it? We saw it?
It would be 2 years. Well, yeah, early 2023, I think, is when the car was shown.
Which is the rather lovely Alfa 33 Stradale, which you've finally driven.
That's right, yeah.
Is it an MC20 in drag?
It certainly contains a lot of MC20 elements.
Diplomatic answer.
And they're very open about that, to be fair. So we spent a lot of time with some of the senior designers and the project leader, and they're very open about the fact it's based around the MC20 running gear, which, as donor cars go, it could be worse than Eco-T winning.
Tub as well? Or?
Yeah, tub as well. So the tub's built elsewhere in Modena, and then the car's assembled at, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, Carrozzeria Touring Superleggera is where it's actually assembled, because the Alfa Romeo
street name?
Is that in Poland?
I'm not going to attempt anything else, Russ.
In a back street in Modena.
Yeah, well, it kind of is, but like all these places, it looks pretty unassuming on the outside. Then you step in and there's this breathtakingly beautiful supercar.
It's a very cool thing, isn't
assembled.
it?
Yeah.
It almost seemed too good to be productionisable, didn't it, when they first showed it?
And you almost think, does it really matter what it's like to drive when it looks that special? And the fact that an Alfa Romeo supercar exists in 2025, for it to get the green light was kind of an uphill battle, because initially the Stellantis board almost unanimously voted no, let's not do it. And Carlos Tavares, when he was in charge, said, well, come back. If you can find the 33 customers, let's think about it, because it will show what Stellantis can do almost as a startup operation. And they went away, found the 33 customers. It's something like, is it 1.6 million euros a car, plus taxes?
Plus options and personalisation and atelier sort of stuff.
And those personalisation options are a big part of the car, because one of the conditions of sale is that no two cars can be the same. They want them all to be unique. So everyone's gone for, a few of the colours are the same. There's a few red ones, as you can imagine, but everyone's gone for different. You can even have the vents and outlets and the bodywork different shapes and so on.
Really?
It's really.
Do they give you a choice then? Have you got a
there's some preset ones, because obviously it's all been wind tunnel tested, so that they have different arrangements for the vents that work and so on. And then we drove it at the Bolocco test track.
And how does it drive to an MC20? Because obviously it looks nothing like one, but it's underneath it's...
And it feels very different to sit in, because you've got this beautiful sort of airy interior, because like the original 60s car that it kind of riffs on.
It's very bubble light, isn't it?
Lovely glass here, isn't it? Sort of, you see everything.
It lets loads of sunlight in, but because they're tinted, you don't get dazzled by it, and you've almost got this kind of goldfish bowl view ahead, really low nose, lower than the Maserati. As luck would have it, I've driven an MC20 within days of coming back, so I can do an almost direct comparison. The suspension's different on the Alfa. It uses the dampers from the Giulia, and it also has rear-wheel steering, which the MC20 doesn't. But actually, it does feel very similar, funny enough, in the way it gets down the roads.
Are they similar on weight?
Yeah, the Alfa quotes, I think it's 1550 kilograms, but I'm still trying to find out if it's a dry weight or wet weight.
What was the MC20
like
weight?
1650 or 1700?
Something like that. It was a heavy thing, wasn't it, when you put it on the scales?
The standard car. Because it's MC20, and obviously the 33 are going to slightly hamstrung, aren't they? Because they were designed to also be electric. But Maserati have said we're not doing the electric MC20. I think there was only one customer who was going to...
Two customers apparently decided to go for the electric one. One of them changed their mind.
Yeah, they've been locked up.
I think he's been exiled to Saudi Arabia, actually.
They said we had one left, and we had discussions with him, and he changed his mind.
Was it Ronaldo that ordered electric and IC?
Really?
Yeah.
But that's been engineered in to the car, so that's, I think, one of the justifications for the weight. Although why you would lie and make the figure up beforehand, and then we find out it's 400 kilos.
Christ, how heavy would it be if it was electric?
But so that's the only unfortunate thing with those cars, isn't it? They don't feel heavy.
No, I think we do get hung up on weight figures, don't we? Because it's important.
Yeah.
But I think cars do hide. We've said this before, haven't we? Things years ago, you'd be like, it's what, 1,500 kilos? That's ridiculous. And now 1,500 kilos is seen as light, isn't it? But anything that weighs 1,800 kilos seems to feel like a 1,500 kilo car to drive, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So.
Did it feel any, on the track, any different to an MC20 in terms of its sort of dynamics and agility? Obviously, it's got the Julia suspension, rear wheel steer. Yeah. So is that how they try to almost justify its price? Because it looks wonderful, but that looks only get you so far.
Yeah, I think some of that price justification is partly in all the personalisation options. The facts, as you can imagine, its customers have got a lot of cars in their collection. It's not their only car. And they've had a real one-to-one experience with, they can literally call up anyone on the board of Alfa Romeo pretty much and, turn up at the design studio whenever they want. and it is, I suppose it is a piece of Alfa Romeo history because they've not done a car like this for decades. But yeah, dynamically, I've only driven MC20 on the road rather than the track. They do feel similar.
Do they sound? Has it got that similar?
It's a bit different. The Alfa sounds better.
Does it?
They've done a lot of tuning. They showed a graph where they've tried to tune the length of the exhausts to get the same frequency as the 8C Competizione, because they said, well, that's the best sounding Alfa of recent times. And they showed a graph, and it's exactly the same. But then, as luck would have it, there was an 8C Spider at the track. Just after I stopped driving the 33, this thing started up and drove off, and it sounded like a window into heaven or something. And but it does sound better than the MC20.
Yeah, but then it's again, their hands are tied, aren't they, with legislation? It can't.
And it's got CATs, it's got DPFs, it's got GPFs, not DPFs. It's got diesel.
That'd be an interesting one, wouldn't it? Stradale TDI.
But yeah, it's definitely geared to be a road car more than a track car. Yeah. So they've said they want it to be a car. I don't know how many of these 33 owners are going to go on big road trips with it, but they want it to be a car you could go touring with.
Well, the MC20 is usable, isn't it? You can do big miles in it, and it's not.
That's a nice thing.
It's not a highly strung thing. So if the Alfa is a little calmer but with more tech to make it. Get more out of it.
And the suspension's really supple, like the MC20. It's got a Strada mode and a Pista mode. And,
did they say where those 33 cars are sort of distributed around the world?
They're definitely global, So there'll be a few in Europe, a few in North America. I think there's only one in Japan. There's a few in the Middle East. So they are across the continents.
Wow, it'd be really special to see one.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be like a Halley's Comet kind of thing, isn't it, if you see one in
Have you spec yours?
We actually did go through the specking process. So me and Richard Pearce, who was shooting the photography for Evo, we went through a sort of compacted version of the process the customers go through. So we felt quite a classy spec. We went for a sort of dark midnight blue with satin gold wheels and a bit biscotto interior. I'm butchering the pronunciation.
But blue with tan.
Blue and tan, can't go too far wrong, can you? With the Evo logo inscribed in the steering wheel spoke, because why not?
Cool. And how much would that set you back on expenses?
Yeah, I haven't put the claim through yet, Stu. We need to have a bit of a discussion after this meeting. But,
when they did the launch, the reveal of the car, to your point of it has to sort of be a showcase of what Stellantis can do. And Imperato was there. They wheeled out all the big wigs. Bottas was there because Alfa was sponsoring the F1 team at the time.
He's bought car number 17, by the way. Okay. So, he's got his on order.
Toto would appreciate that. But it shows that got the feeling that Alfa had to do something to position itself.
Remind everyone what it can do.
And it's Giulia and Stelvio are great, but you can't live off them at all. They got their junior EV, which is fine, but it's in that competitive volume market, and you do want people to have a passion for it. It's a passion brand, isn't it, Alfa? You need those halo cars, like Maserati with the MC20. You need something to hang everything off.
And they're going to do more, which is the really exciting thing. So this is the first Bottega project, they're calling it, this super low volume. They're going to do more, still limited to 33 cars each. They wouldn't give any clues as to what they're doing.
Wonder if they have a roof or not, the next one.
Well, that's probably fairly strong.
But that's where the market's going, isn't it? People want more bespoke, low volume. And you look at...
Well, they've got a great back catalogue of sort of Disco Volantes and really cool, unusual stuff, haven't they? Montreals and would be great to. I think it's interesting, isn't it? I know that's kind of goes beyond resto modding, doesn't it? But it's sort of everything's in that area now, isn't it? Where they're the best looking cars have already been designed almost, haven't they? And the most fun to drive cars have already been built, haven't they?
Fair.
So it's.
But I think that's indicative of the market as well, though, isn't it? The challenges some OEMs are having with their next gen of hypercars of finding customers and getting that demand, because there is now so many options available to you, the more bespoke, more personalised cars, whether it's a resto model, whether it's you can get on a limited run build of something quite special. If you're trying to build a hypercar that's into the 3 figures production run, it becomes quite normalised, doesn't it? And it's not special enough.
But it probably gives them a lot of slack, doesn't it? Because all the Alfa fans are like, why are you making an electric hatchback or whatever? Just point them in the direction of the 33 and then continue making the boring stuff.
Yeah, it's what you have to do. It's just that awareness of this. We're out here, we're still doing the cool stuff. And to Dickie's point, the back catalogue of, you don't want to, Aston Martin went through that bit of a phase, didn't they, plagiarising.
Yeah, but then they've had the Valor, haven't they, and Valiant, which are really cool. You can't imagine if you've got pots of money, if you had a 33 and a Valor or Valiant or something in your garage and umpteen other similar things. I think they're more, if you're at that level, they're more interesting, aren't they? More exciting than more of a series production car, even if it is at a high price point. I think they're always more interesting, aren't they?
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? A hypercar is now sort of considered a series production car in a world of ultra low volume. 33 of those. How many Valors and Valiants?
You always ask me numbers.
I
should know. I drove it and wrote about it, and I'm trying to remember.
Well, that's kind of why I asked. But
it's that less than 100, I think, isn't it?
So it's all that low volume stuff that is where that audience is, isn't it? 100 T50s and T33 coupes and spiders and things. It's where the customers are in that price point. And you do worry about millionaires of where to spend their 800 to $1 million.
I'm lying awake at night worrying about them.
It's that weird sort of thing. The hypercar's almost been a victim of its own success because it's opened up a world.
Well, there's too many of them, aren't there? I think everyone's trying to build too many of those cars, and I think everyone's suffering, aren't they? Even Ferrari prices are dropping on a lot of stuff, 296s, and you look at what they are used. They're not the place to put your money anymore, are they? So there's a bit of a readjustment going on. Big
readjustment with the new stuff.
But if they can make them up more of a margin with the really big ticket stuff, and then they can have to make fewer of the stuff they've been trying to sell thousands of, maybe that's the answer. I don't know.
And Ferrari's found projects like this and more cost effective to them than doing the one-offs that they've done a lot of over the years, because speaking to somebody at Maranello a couple of years ago, they said part of the cost of those projects is losing the engineers and designers away from other stuff, so it's costing them manpower as well as money. So if you're doing a few off rather than a one-off, it's actually better, makes more business sense.
Well, Yousuf's been
tees it up beautifully.
Tees up where you've been recently.
So I went to see the 296 Speciale replacement for the 4.8 Pista, and they're talking big things about it because pulled the covers off and they're like, this is going to be the most thrilling Ferrari ever made. And it's designed to put the biggest smile on your face of any Ferrari. My Italian accent.
You've moved out Poland anyway.
I know how much you guys, I've never driven the 458, but that is kind of...
That's a bold statement, isn't it? To say that with all the cars they've made.
Got a fairly good back catalogue.
You think F40, F50, 458 Speciale, La Ferrari.
And it's the first time they've, certainly on the mid-engine special, they've reused the name. And they had similar sort of flack when they brought out the GTO, brought back the GTO name, the 599 of how can you bring back this name?
They sort of, things calm down though, don't they? I remember like the GTO is pretty sought after now. Not to the extent that the original one was, and I still don't think it's a pretty scary car actually, I would say. But they become desirable, don't they? Because it's an ultimate and a bit of a unicorn thing. But what have they with the 296? What have they done to it to justify that statement? Because it's still hybrid. It's still got all the hybrid stuff in it.
It's still a V6, still hybrid, and it's kind of nothing unexpected. Kind of a bit more power, a bit less weight, lower, stiffer, lighter. But their whole thing is that with the V6, it gives the 296 this kind of hyper agility. It's got short wheelbase, and they're building on that, and they say that that's the best basis for a car like this, a track car that can be used on the road as well and be enjoyed.
I mean, it's probably got the best kind of parallels with race programs of any Ferrari, hasn't it, with Formula One and Le Mans
and the
winning
WEC stuff. But
cars with a V6.
The confusing thing is, I think customers probably haven't responded as well as Ferrari would have hoped to the V6. And then when you consider that this car is going to be €400,000 for a V6 supercar, it's kind of like
as much as that.
Yeah. And then
it's worse for them because they do still make amazing V12s,
exactly,
don't they? Although they've
You've got
their
that
voice
contrast.
a little bit, but
and I think the thing is, they keep talking about wanting the link to motorsport, but in my head, I'm thinking that F1 and WEC, they're probably the least exciting they've been in terms of the engines, and that's down to regulations.
Yeah.
So when you've got a road car that doesn't have to conform, why don't you just make the most amazing, spectacular...
Yeah, WEC's not good for them. I mean, it is because they keep winning. But, but there's Cadillacs that sound amazing with V8s, and the Valkyrie sounds amazing with a V12, doesn't it? And then they're buzzing around with a V6. Yeah, I think they're in a uniquely difficult position, aren't they? Because they make amongst the best, most exciting engines, production car engines, don't they?
Is there anything from F80 that's gone into... I know F80's been revealed and announced but not driven yet or delivered, but is there anything from that powertrain that's in this powertrain, or is it just an adaptation of the GTS?
It's kind of a bit of both, because the F80 is already quite closely related to 296 in terms of the engine, but for this, the hybrid system is very similar to the normal car. So same battery pack, slightly more power from the motor, but the overall layout is the same: rear drive, motor in between the gearbox and the engine.
Does it do anything new in terms of sort of harvesting energy on track and stuff? Does it have new
It's got
track
a bit of that,
and stuff?
Yeah, so it's got a boost mode, which can give you more electric boosts at the most advantageous points on a lap, so like out of corners and things, and you can calibrate it. But I don't know, just if you're on a track day, do you want to be faffing about with like energy management and strategy
it's
and
not
all
how
that?
track days work, is it?
It's
really?
not, no. It's a nice link. You can say, the F1 guys and the WEC guys do that as well, but I just want to
It's the same as when they bought in
car.
flappy paddle gearboxes and Manatinos, wasn't it? It was all that motorsport contrived motorsport link.
I do sort of. I think it's a generational thing, isn't it? I know you're significantly younger than me, but I think if you're always on I sort of try and imagine myself not doing this job, I'd probably have a sim at home and I'd be on that all the time. I think
you'd have a proper job, so you wouldn't be able to be on the sim all
the time. Maybe. But I think there's a generation of people that have grown up driving cars and using the systems as a race car driver would, and being much more familiar with it, and it's part of the experience. So if you have that
do a lot of
function,
sim driving, would you?
I do, yeah.
But you do a lot of track driving, but you do track driving in an analog, your lease.
Yeah.
Would you, to Dickie's point, would you find yourself using that stuff because it's a bit more second nature and you're used to doing it, or would you be a lad like us two and just...
I personally think when I'm on a track day, I'm not looking to shave tents, because that's what you do racing for, if you can. Yeah. But on a track, you just want the experience, and I think pushing buttons on a wheel and looking at your energy meter around a lap kind of doesn't add to the experience that I'm looking for.
Yeah, you look around you, and I mean, if you just look on Instagram or something, everyone goes nuts about a GMA T50, don't they? Because of the noise and because of the stick shift, and you have to work the car, and it's much more mechanical. But I think if you love technology and you're a proper kind of Ferrari fanboy, then you're going to be into that. That type of driving.
It's got kind of cosplaying vibes about it, though, doesn't
it? I think if you're, I don't know, if you had tons of money, you'd probably have a 296 Challenge car, though, wouldn't you?
Exactly,
Which doesn't have the hybrid, and it's much lighter, and it's really, really good fun. But
there's something in that.
And you'd probably be racing it as well.
I'll be fascinated to see what it's like. I hope it's, because the street car's super quick, isn't it? And the engine sounds nicer than the McLaren, and it works well, but it's not. It does need to be a bit more.
It needs more
vocal,
bite, doesn't it?
and a bit more exuberant. So maybe if
they've got these new
Speciale does that.
kind of ducts from the engine going into the cabin. It's got twice as many of those as the standard
same
car.
as they did on the XX.
Yeah, similar to that.
Same thing.
Yeah. It's a bit more intake noise.
So that does
maybe.
help.
Okay.
Yeah.
Certainly did with the XX. Does it look? I haven't seen any pictures of it.
Well, it's all locked down, so
exactly.
The embargo lifts the day after we were recording.
We've been respecting the embargo.
We have.
Does it look any closer to like a GT3 car? Or?
I think Ferrari, they do this thing where they don't want any big wings on the car. I know they've got the F80 and the SF90XX with wings on them.
Yeah.
So this is
with a GT3 LM class car, and how everyone loves the 911 GT3 RS. They really go for it.
I suppose the lineage so far, if it's Challenge Stradale, Scuderia, Pista.
They've never done.
They're quite clean.
They've
aren't
never
they?
really gone for it, have they? In terms of a road racer.
Then, going back to the earlier thing of it's getting harder to sell cars. There is an audience who, if you're buying a 296 Speciale, you want it to look like a Speciale. And what a 458 looked like 10, 12 years ago, tastes have changed, customers have changed, and if you're trying to, like every car company, attract a younger audience, you do have to some extent, go to what they want. So you do think whether more visible aero
slap a
is
wing
something,
on it.
slap a wing on it. And
Well, maybe they'll do an XX now that they've taken XX just away from track only and made a street car.
It does look
That's what
good.
they'll
It's
do.
quite extreme when you look at it, and it's got like little winglets from the FXXK, I think it was.
If it's got lots of little details.
Lots of details that come together.
Nice, isn't it?
But
Interior-wise, is it stripped out?
It's pretty stripped out. No carpets, all Alcantara, single-piece buckets and everything. And it's got actual buttons now on the wheel.
Has it?
Rather than haptics.
Well, there we go. That's worth £400,000.
Exactly.
That's when you're wearing your Nomex gloves, isn't it?
Exactly,
Going to
mode.
Waitrose.
But no, it's a really cool thing. But again, on the kind of design front, I feel like Ferrari chases the clean look but ends up making a fussy car in the process. Because they put loads of holes around it and lots of little vents here and there, and it comes together and you think that's been tweaked, but it's kind of all over the car rather than a big wing and splitter. But it should be a fun thing.
I'm still hoping they do an XX and it's a souped up challenge car.
Go all out with it,
Or maybe a mashup of the challenge car aero as much as they can and the hybrid.
with the hybrid wound up a bit.
That would be pretty awesome.
And a Koenig body kit.
Right, let's stop it there.
I think we probably should stop it there, Joe. Blimey. Didn't realise you were that old. In fact, we will have a break there. While we've got no John this week, so
we have got John's ginger nuts.
He's here in spirit.
He's here in spirit. His nuts are here. While we eat on John's nuts, go and have a break. Go and book yourself on an Evo track day if Yousuf has got you excited about those, and we will see you in a minute. Welcome back to part 2 of episode 19. We've left John's ginger nuts on the table for this part. We couldn't face it in the break. I hope you all had a good cup of tea. So part 2, we're introducing a bit of a irregular new feature that I came up with while I had a lot of painkillers for a recent injury. So we're ripping off, and we apologise now, Desert Island discs. Which young Yousuf here had to ask his dad what it was. And then we've just had to explain Radio 4 to him. For our overseas readers, Radio 4 is where they just talk a lot. And Desert Island discs. So we are marooned on a desert island, and I am giving the guys here the opportunity to pick 3 different roads and a car for each road. So I'm going to kick off with Yousuf because it's fresh and it's a new thing for him. First road and first car and why?
Okay, so first choice for me is pretty simple because I've done it before. So Julia Super 105 series Alfa Romeo on the Elan Valley, mid Wales. So really tight kind of technical road, a few like yumps here and there. In a fast car, I think you don't really get the most out of the road because you're just kind of hovering over the throttle and it might be too wide or whatever. But that little Alfa 1300 revs out to 6.5, 90 horsepower. You just flat the whole time.
Sounds great.
It turns the whole thing into a rally stage. And I've done it a few times. I'd love to.
So you've chosen the road outside your front door. in your own car.
Yes. Yeah. I'm not going to say it, so what can I say?
It's a couple of hours north for you.
It is, a couple of hours, yeah. No,
Everywhere's a couple of hours.
Yeah, true.
Where Yousuf.
Yeah.
Have you had a particularly memorable drive on there, or is it just because it's the frequency of drives that are always memorable and you'd always want to be able to have it?
I think
available?
it was the first time after I rebuilt the Alfa with my dad. Did all the suspension on it, engine rebuild, carb rebuild, and it was kind of like, right, let's see what this is all about. So we did some roads in the Rhondda Valley, leading up to the Elan Valley, and then we got to this place, and it was just, I was with my mate, and he was recording, and he was just like, this is the best drive I've ever had in my life. He'd been in Lambos, Porsches, you name it, but that little car on that road, you just got so much room to play with, and it turns it into a playground. Yeah, so amazing memories.
Yeah, we've done a lot of stuff on in Elan.
That's great.
And it is,
Yeah.
as you're right,
Yeah.
it's small, compact cars, isn't it? It's always somewhere you
It's
go
hot
with.
hatch territory.
Yeah, there's some
Exactly.
faster sections, aren't there? But still, you wouldn't want to be in anything.
No.
Really quick, yeah.
No, or wide. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good one.
Yeah, good choice.
Right, James. First road, first car.
Yeah, well, this one's fairly fresh in my memory too, but it's because we went there towards the end of last year on last year's Evo Car of the Year test.
Yep.
So we were kind of on the border between Spain and France in the Pyrenees last year, and there was a really beautiful stretch of road. I can't remember the exact road number, but it's in the Navarra region, sort of if you go from Pamplona towards the French
Yep.
border.
Yes, if you head north out of Pamplona and sort of follow your nose into France.
Yes, yeah, and just the scenery was totally beautiful.
Oh, it's epic there, isn't it? You run through the long sort of valley floor, don't you? And then you see the mountains
climbing
in
up
the...
and up and up.
Yeah.
And it was really quiet, apart from some wildlife. You had to watch out for
Cows.
cattle. Yeah. But he just sort of climbs into the sky on this sort of twisting road. And in terms of the car to enjoy it on, I was torn between going for a supercar. Actually, the Ferrari 458 Speciale was what I nearly went for, but
That
actually
would sound epic up that valley.
echoing off the rock faces and stuff. But I changed my mind at the last minute and went for the Evo 25 edition Caterham, which we had on Fast Fleet last year, because it matches power and grip so well.
Yeah.
And being able to take the doors off, being open to the sunshine and the elements, and sort of.
But it'd be fun if it was wet as well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great stretch of road, wasn't it? And because you sort of came out of where we were staying, and you had the small bit of town and bit of auto route to.
There's just a few punctuation points, aren't there? A few little villages, but then there's proper.
Yeah.
You kind of had
good 20 minutes of really fast driving, aren't there, on roads where there's nobody to annoy or side turnings, or it's just great.
And there was great. There was waypoints, wasn't there? So you didn't overdrive.
Yeah,
there was that petrol station, wasn't there?
Yes.
The
last petrol station.
Yeah, the last petrol station before sort of driving to heaven, and then the last village as well. Sort of went through that really sort of tight,
and it was sort of
left,
narrow,
right.
and designed before cars existed. So you have the really narrow little courtyards to wind your way
then
through.
It just opened up. It was wonderful part of the world, isn't it? That everyone sort of navigates towards Route Napoleon and the Alps, isn't it? But I think the Pyrenees is a bit of a.
It's reminiscent of Route Napoleon, definitely.
Yeah.
Would you go doors off then?
Yeah, well, depending on the weather, as Dickie says. If the sun's shining,
you get
definitely
slapped
doors
in the
off.
face though, don't you?
Yeah, you have to sort of cable tie the harnesses. They don't sort of smack you in the face as you drive it. But there's something about that car. I just really bonded with it the time we had it with, and it would be sort of fast enough to be really fun.
Yeah, it's got enough punch, hasn't it, on those longer straights and through the quicker stuff.
Yeah,
that will come alive there. Where are you heading to? Which road are you building on your desert island first?
Bit of a blast from the past, I think. I'd go back to the Evo Triangle. I missed that road. It's such a shame that it's now got speed cameras, and it's kind of a no-go area for us now, which is largely due to us stupidly saying where it was about 20 years ago. But I think an Impreza P1. I remember we did a Britain's Best Drivers car test.
99?
Was it 99? I was trying to remember when it was.
I was still.
And I think we ended up whittling down this kind of 15 cars, I think. And we ended up with a P1 and a 550.
Green 550, wasn't it?
That we took up there.
968 Club Sport.
Yeah, there were a couple of Evo. There's an Evo and
Mark
some
1,
other. Yeah, lots
Gen
of
1
other
NSX,
stuff.
wasn't it? E30 M3.
Oh wow!
But we did lots of different things with all of the cars, and then we whittled it down to those two on that road. But I just remember the Impreza up there, and much the same reasons as you on the Elan Valley. there are some really fast sections, but there's some yumpy, twisty, twiddly bits as well. And then I don't know. I think the P1 was such a good car up there, really well suited.
All three are roads. Having driven them all, they're all roads as well. You don't need to be driving flat out or fast to enjoy them because of the way they flow and the challenge they've got, isn't it?
I mean, you enjoy them more if you do.
Just trying to have some sense of sensibility, but yeah, you can enjoy them in anything because of the road.
Well, if I'm going to have that car on that road, can I also ask North Wales Police to do sector times with the average speed?
It's a deserted desert island, so you're not going to have any.
I'm sure they give you sector times.
I know a photograph to go with it.
I'll go with it and a piece of paper for the memento.
They'll even post it to you.
Yeah, they'll post it. Yeah. And if you want, you can go and explain to someone how you were doing it.
And how important it is that you keep doing that.
Maybe not. Road 2, Yousuf, where are we heading now, and then what in?
Is the old military road near Glenshee, Scotland. So it's it's a very long stretch actually, like 45 minutes point to point. Dickie's probably going to say 20 minutes. Flat out. And it kind of starts in a valley, and you've got a stream next to you, and like amazing scenery, but quite twisty, quite technical. And then halfway through, it just goes absolutely nuts with these crazy kind of jumps where you can't see over the top of the bonnet almost, and just looking at sky. And the car, probably a Huracan STO. Yeah, kind of.
Nothing too quick.
There's a reason behind it. It's because back in 2021, I was doing an event with that car, with Lamborghini. And it was late in the day, end of the shoot, and just getting a few more shots, and we had a flight to catch that evening. And it was, as you know, like always borderline with times and things, really pushing it to the limit. And then we got a phone call, and we were like, right, guys, you need to just leave and get to the airport as quickly as you can. And I was like, right, okay, I've got a Huracan STO here, the best road I've ever driven. And it was just no traffic, 40 minutes of just exploring the road with this amazing car. -1, so it was a bit sketchy. But no. Fantastic, yeah. One of the best drives.
Yeah, I think an STO brings any road alive, doesn't it? So it needs a special road to sort of bring a whole thing together, doesn't it?
Complement it. Yeah, exactly.
They sound so good though, don't they? And it's such a drivable, enjoyable car, isn't it?
Even in those conditions, I think we were on Dunlop Sport Maxes or something. Kind of ice on the road in places, but it was still so controllable. I was just like, this is everything I want.
I can hear the engine in my head.
I can still hear it as well. Yeah,
they're a mega thing.
That was awesome.
That STO, isn't it? That was 2022 car of the year.
Yeah,
I think we had that, wasn't it? That was in bits of North Coast 500.
Right.
So
that was with the M5 CS year,
wasn't it? Second. Yeah,
and the GT3 Touring.
Yeah.
So that's those same sort of roads and stuff. It just sort of comes alive, and whether it's the car or whether it's just the sound you can echoing around you.
It's just like a fantasy, isn't it? It feels like you're in Forza or Gran Turismo or something. It's just not real. Yeah.
Is that like Outrun?
Outrun. What's Outrun?
What's Outrun? Right.
Better graphics these days.
Get onto the people team after this. While you rewrite your CV. James, which direction are you heading in next on your island?
I'm heading for Cliché Town because I've gone for the road that it's such an obvious choice, but I've gone for the Route Napoleon because it's quite good, isn't it?
It's all right.
And it sort of gets better the further south you go, as you go down France. You sort of start up in Grenoble where it's a little bit sort of patchy in places, and as you get down towards Grasse and ultimately sort of Nice and Monaco, it just becomes more and more beautiful. The corners are great, you can see for miles, the sound of the engine echoing off the rock faces.
And you've got the anticipation, haven't you, of the sea, and I know Monaco's a bit of a nasty place in lots of ways, isn't it? But it's still quite special when you go through the tunnel and then you arrive and you're there, and it's just like a theme park, isn't it?
Yeah, you have sort of the Mediterranean glittering and a big pile of glitter next to it, which is Monaco.
It's cool.
You sort of, as you come down, doesn't it? You're just constantly, the med gets bigger and bigger in the screen.
And you've got sort of the warm air spilling through the vents, and you start to smell the sea and stuff, and it's and for a car, well, I thought, if I've got free reign of any car that's ever been built, I've never driven one, but the McLaren F1 is, it's the ultimate.
Did you drive the McLaren F1 on the Route Napoleon?
It
near
wasn't
to
far
it?
from there. It was sort of more towards Paul Ricard when we
Yeah.
did that with the P1 some years ago now. When would that be? 2014? Oh, God, 11 years ago. 10 years ago.
Was it rubbish? Is it a bad choice?
It's not a bad choice at all. You'd get used to squeaky brakes
I'd squeak as well, I think.
yeah, but no, it's mega. It's a lovely thing. You wouldn't actually, compared to a modern, like you probably wouldn't keep up with Yousuf in a STO, but you wouldn't really.
I don't think I'd mind.
No.
That would be fine.
Yeah, just that engine and gearbox, and it's just and the driving position on that road would be brilliant as well.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well, being in the middle and then seeing, the rock faces.
and the big drop.
Yeah, exactly.
The insurance in one of the passenger seats, and the disclaimer in the other.
Yes.
I can see that.
Yeah.
That'd be again. It's all like the STOs and a lot of these. It's the sound, isn't it? Not necessarily the.
Yeah.
It's got to be part of the whole experience.
Yeah.
Driving around your island, you've got no one to annoy, so you might as well be loud.
Yeah, absolutely.
Although you probably get deafened inside the F1 more than outside, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It's just the induction noise, isn't it? Big throttle openings, and you hear the kind of gulping air down through the roof vent. It's a good thing. It's a really good thing. And you'd have plenty of time to get used to the gearbox, because it's not a brilliant gearbox.
Okay.
And the revs, like when you look at a T50 in car,
it's
the revs drop so quickly between the shifts.
It looks like people can't drive.
But the gearbox doesn't look like it's particularly quick in the T50 either, so it seems quite hard.
Yeah.
But once you get your confidence up, it's great, because
it's so satisfying when you time it.
If you time it, rev it out, and then it just drops into the rev band again, and you get a clean upshift. It's great.
Nice.
Yeah, a special thing.
I feel quite happy with that choice then.
Not a bad choice.
But you're in Bedford, so
This is true. This is very true.
But heading somewhere special in the next couple of days. So
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Something rather
We'll
special.
talk about that on a future podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where are you for Road to Defeat?
I've been racking my brains. Caveat would be I'd have some of the road resurfaced, but if it's a fantasy land, then that's fine, isn't it? I would go to Sicily and drive the Targa Florio route.
Yeah,
because
you might need it resurfaced. You might need your mate Tim to go there first.
Well, that would be handy. But again, I shows how lucky I've been doing stuff with Evo, really. But and I think possibly I don't know whether we'll all pick roads that we've already driven rather than roads that we haven't, because we've been very lucky to drive most of the places we want to go. But I'd always wanted to go there, and I'd managed to persuade someone to take their GT3, like 996 GT3 Gen 1 down there for a Targa Florio story, and it's still one of the best trips I've ever done down there, because it lived up. The car was great.
You flew in and someone else had to drive down to Sicily?
Well, yes, we Gus Gregory, the photographer, and I flew down, and then got a hire car, but it was such a cool trip getting there, get the ferry across the tiny little stretch of water, and then drove across to Palermo, and then went back to do the circuit for a couple of days. And the road wasn't so bad then. There's been quite a lot of subsidence, and where it gets up into the mountains, the roads have fallen away a bit, so it's quite crumbly in places, but you could drive most of it as fast as you wanted to go, and there's not many, if you go the right time of year. And we were getting there early in the morning because it was with Gus, so obviously Gus o'clock, but it's such a cool place. And I don't know, I've grown up looking at books from, like, with photographs from the race where there'd be like 500,000 people.
The start line's still there.
That's all still there, and it's all been kind of painted and tarted up now, a bit like the Reims. When we went, it was still quite
sort of
crumbly,
faded and patchy, and
so you just sort of stumble across. Oh, well, we're here, and then you just set off and drive it. But you can still see all the graffiti on the walls of some of the buildings for Nino Vaccarella was a school teacher on the island, but he also happened to be a Alfa and Ferrari factory driver, and won it no end of times. So and I'd take a 4-litre RS 997 GT3.
Nice.
That sounds all right.
Because Porsche's got such heritage there anyway with those cars, and B, it's just about the right size, because it's wide enough road for you to be able to thread through and see through corners and stuff, but you still wouldn't want to be in something bulky, like a Revuelto or something would just be too big. So that would be my idea of heaven, I think, going around there.
Sounds good. So then final road, final car.
Road 3 for me isn't actually a road.
It's good to see you're getting into this, of just ignoring the rules anyway.
But you can drive in it, I think, legally. So it's a special stage of Wales Rally GB in the Rhondda Valley.
Okay.
And you actually drive past it when you do kind of the roads that we usually drive on, the Brecon Beacons and things. But I've never been in a car suitable to kind of turn left and explore it. So the car that I would take is an Aerial Nomad. The original Aerial Nomad, because drove them for the first time a good few years ago on track around here actually, at Bedford. And I did one corner in it and I was just laughing my head off inside the helmet, just how much lean you get.
Yeah, dive and lean.
And how alive it is, and just, it felt like a Caterham, but one that just works in 3 dimensions almost, with how it moves and how it slides. And I think that would be awesome through the trees there.
Yeah. So is that the Epping? Is that the Epping road?
So it's by Treorchy. Okay. You know the big hairpin with the kind of waterfall coming down in the valley. If you turn left there's a fence. And I think if you open the fence, you get through. But I haven't tried it yet. we'll see. Yeah.
When you book an Aerial Nomad, we'll know.
Yeah, exactly. It'll come back covered in mud. And yeah. No, that'd be awesome.
So you say take the original?
Yeah.
Nomad. You've driven both generations.
Yeah. I mean, the second one's amazing as well.
Yeah.
You might argue the engine's a bit more charismatic in the first one because it's the Honda engine now. Now it's got the Ford 2.3 litre engine which is in theory better for off-road because it's got more torque and it's more tractable and so on, but it's maybe a bit more gruff and a bit more brusque than the Honda unit. They've changed the suspension now, so it's got sort of anti-squat, anti-dive. In theory it's a lot more sophisticated, but like you said, the sort of weird roll steer stuff it does, the original,
that was a big part of how you drove it, wasn't it? Or what made it different from an Atom.
So maybe I'd take the second one's great too, but I think I'd maybe go for the first one.
It's like 230 horsepower or something, more than enough for those tyres and that amount of grip and everything. It's a really sweet thing.
Sounds good.
Good choice.
Cool.
Just going to see if the gate's open.
Yeah, exactly.
Bolt cutters.
Yeah.
And you work for Top Gear. James, where are you heading for your final destination?
I've made a slightly weird choice.
Okay.
But I think the ultimate kind of drug is nostalgia. So I thought if I could have a replica of the roads where I grew up when I was a teenager, learning to drive in the East Midlands, and sort of have them to myself. I always dreamed the roads could be empty, so I could drive it like the Targa Florio. If I could do that, and I'd have either a replica of my Peugeot 306 1.4 I had when I was a student.
Wicked.
Or maybe a 306 Maxi.
Maybe I should at least. Actually, an F2 Maxi, that would be quite cool. Actually, that's a better choice. That's a bit more Evo, isn't it? All right, we'll say that. Yeah,
we can edit that bit out.
Edit that.
So you're in your 306 Maxi F2 car.
And they rev to the heavens, don't they? So
So these are just the roads in and around.
Yeah, I grew up in sort of rural Leicestershire, is where I grew up. So they are actually really, really cool roads, but very busy. So I always used to fantasize about what if this was empty and it was like a special stage, Rally GB stage or a Targa Florio kind of road race. So to have them to myself with no other cars would be pretty cool.
Yeah, an F2 rally car. Did you drive one of those in period? I always look at you for the old stuff. But
no, I've even I have. I'm old enough now. I've probably forgotten.
Did you not drive one of the Seats?
No,
I'm sure you did.
No, I had a long termer that was the same colour as one of the two rally cars. But
do you have a photo shoot with it? Or something?
No, I'm not a rally boy, am I? Henry's I have driven a few rally cars, but Henry was always the rally boy, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was a bit. He was probably still at university or at school back then, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
So where are you heading, Dickie, for your final road, final car?
I think I'm heading to Scotland, but not the North Coast 500 because it would just be full of journalists doing group tests. But I've always loved the drive when you head up to the Highlands, go from Glasgow sort of around Loch Lomond, and then if you're heading up towards Fort William, which is where we normally end up staying, there's some brilliant like bigger, faster, swoopier roads over Rannoch Moor, and then I think it's the A9 that takes you up and through there, and I'd do it in an Aston Martin, I think, because I love Astons, and I've done a few trips up there. We took the first Vanquish up there for our first drive, but I'd probably take a DB4 GT.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Cool.
Because they sound great
Yeah.
and they look great, and it would just settle in on that road. You're not having to go up and down the gearbox too much.
Yeah.
It would sound brilliant. And just off that road, towards Loch Etive is the Skyfall Road, which I know James Bond is a massive cliche, but it's a really nice road, just a little offshoot of that trip, and you can't really go wrong up there. I think North Coast 500 is amazing, but it's full of camper vans and packs of Dutch Land Rover Defender owners, isn't it? So it's kind of a bit of a victim of its own success. But that
Damn
road,
the magazine that went up there and did it fast.
that route is a favourite. I love that, and it's always dramatic, whether the weather's terrible or whether the weather's brilliant. It just feels like you're doing a bit of an epic trip. And I'd love to be in a proper old classic that smells of petrol and just needs to be driven in a different way. I think that'd be lovely.
Okay. Sounds great.
Well, throw a curveball in, as they do on Desert
you didn't say there was going to be a
What's
curveball.
the luxury item?
No, it's not the luxury item is you get obviously a bound volume of all of the copies of Evo to read.
Right.
It's better than the works of Shakespeare.
And then obviously unlimited sustainable fuel.
Yeah.
But you got to pick one road and one car.
Of those three.
Of those three. We'll start with you, Yousuf. You've got the younger brain, so it works quicker.
Yeah.
I've forgotten the one.
I've forgotten your first one, haven't you?
And I've not written them down.
For me, I think it'll probably be the Giulia,
Yep.
just because of the memories I have with that car and that road. I've sold it now, and I kind of want to revisit it. Yeah, I do miss that car, but yeah, that's probably the one.
James?
McLaren F1, Route Napoleon. I think it's all right, isn't
Stay real, James.
Forget the person.
Never change.
Keeping it real. Man of the people, James Taylor.
Yeah.
As Dickie is about to say, a DB4 Zagato.
No, I Targa Florio.
it? Cool.
Definitely Targa Florio in that car. I think I'd never get bored of driving around there. Never ever.
And you want to get lost, you just go round and round in circles.
No, just keep turning. Well, depending on which way around you go, I suppose.
Yeah.
But no, I'd love that. That'd be awesome.
That sounds, all three of those sound exciting. I'd like to go and do them now. So three of us could do it in the F1. You could take us.
Yeah, we'll swap over at each each
I'll keep up in
waypoint.
the Giulia. 7,000
In the
reps.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Well, I think that worked. We'll bring it back, but I think we also do it with maybe racetracks, race
Yeah,
cars,
that'd be good.
other
Yeah,
roads.
yeah. Sounds good.
So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Yousuf,
Thank
James,
you. Thanks,
Dickie.
Stu.
Thanks
for
everyone
having
for listening. It is now height of track day season, so I'm going to plug the Evo track days. So go to evo.co.uk and come and join us at Bedford, Brands Hatch, Donington or Goodwood. We'll all be there. But yeah, hopefully see you there and see you on the next episode.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.